Okay, class, I am doing this work to give you an example of a multiplication problem with rational expressions. Remember that we cannot simplify rational expressions unless our terms on top and bottom in the numerator and denominator have been factored. Right now what we've got, this piece, this denominator is factored, but nothing else. So I'm going to walk you through the steps. So the first thing we want to do is look and see if there's any common factors. Anything that can just have a common factor factored out of it. And what I see is this piece right here can be refactored with a common factor. So I'm going to come on down to the next lines and put equals. What divides evenly into both of these two terms in this numerator is the letter x. It's not a number this time, it's the letter x. So I'm going to factor out the letter x. And what I'm actually doing is taking these two pieces and dividing that x out of them. So x squared divided by x is x. And 6x divided by x simply leaves us with 6. I've talked to many about why that works. X times x will give us back x squared if we multiply. And x times 6x will give us back this term 6x. Now the denominator of that fraction is x plus 6 quantity squared. And we've talked before about the fact that that really means we have x plus 6 multiplied times itself again, another x plus 6. And I find it helps to write that out when we have that. Next we've got this piece, and it's not factored, so it must be factored. So we're going to come to our factoring workspace, and I'm going to cover up some of the work, and we'll come back to it. But we're just going to take this piece right here and factor it right here. So x squared goes here, and 6 here. We multiply those to get the top. By the way, if I go too fast, pause it and get it down. The bottom is the middle term, that's 7x. And then we ask ourselves, what can I multiply to get 6 and add to get 7? Well, my choices are 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. Those are the only factors of 6. 1 and 6 add to 7, and they multiply, of course, to 6. So I'm going to put 1x and 6x here. Come on back over here and put them here as well. And then I work my way around the outside of the box the way we have been doing in class. Common factor to these two terms is simply x. X times x would give me x squared in that box. X times 1, positive 1, gives me 1x. And x times a positive 6 gives me the 6x in this box. If you'll remember, this is one that I told you you can do a shortcut on. Doing that box really didn't get me any more information than putting 1 and 6 in the parentheses, x plus 1 and x plus 6. So if you want to skip the box, you can do that, and I'll demonstrate that in the next step. But we have now replaced this numerator with what we just got on our factoring workspace, the x plus 6 and x plus 1. Both in parentheses because they're multiplied together. Next, I want to factor this x squared minus 1. Again, we're going to use our factoring workspace. But this time I'm going to do the shortcut, so I'm not going to use the box at all. I'm simply going to put the last term on the top, that's the minus 1, and the middle term on the bottom. Well, there is no middle term, but the number for that is 0. So the question I ask myself is, what can I multiply to get negative 1? And in this case, because it's negative, subtract to get 0. Well, my only choices for 1 are 1 times 1. And if I do 1 minus 1, that does give me 0. So my answer, when I put it in factored form back into the denominator, is going to be x plus 1. And then I get it minus 1 from here. So finally, I can start making 1s. Remember, if I have the same thing top and bottom, I can cross it out because it makes the number 1. So I see some x plus 6's here. I see x plus 6 here and here. I also see x plus 1. So the pieces that I have not crossed off to make 1 are in the numerator, x, and in the denominator, x minus 1. And that would be my final answer. Don't forget to turn in your factoring workspace to show all the work you did here. I'm going to sign off here and make another video about dividing.